so
Ow!
funny. What?
Picked me in my finger. He's picking my phone.
Oh, look, that one's on top of there.
Okay, guys, so I really screwed up this time. And I'm explaining right now what is going on here. What you're hearing does not go with what you're seeing on the screen because I did not record audio for this entire episode. And it's a disaster. I know it's a huge mistake. I'm really sorry for that. And now I look stupid because I have to record audio afterwards. This is a few days after shooting this episode, and it's the only way I can help this situation. How could this possibly happen? I'm using the Panasonic GH4 camera for most of these daily videos with the microphone attached to the top of it. It's that fuzzy ball with the eyes. It's a funny one. The fuzzy part is to protect against wind noise. And the only instance in which the audio doesn't get recorded is when this connection, this little 3.5 millimeter jack, is not inserted all the way into this audio port into the camera, just like this. If you push it in all the way, everything's fine, but sometimes it gets knocked off just like that, and it stands out just a little bit, and then the audio simply doesn't get recorded. I don't know how it's possible that I didn't notice this for the entire day, but it happened. What you're seeing on the screen right now is me kind of doing the introduction in front of the Tractor Supply store, inspired by our visit to our friend Alicia in St. Louis, Missouri a few days prior to shooting this episode and seeing her chickens. We wanted to do a video about how to raise chickens. And that's why we went to Tractor Supply that day. We actually were hoping for an interview with one of the employees, and we got it. There was someone in the store who wanted to talk to us, who didn't mind being on camera and sharing his own experience from his own chicken farm. So what you're already seeing right now is him basically sharing his own experiences. He lives on a farm and he has a lot of chickens and he takes care of them daily. And according to his own words, raising chickens is pretty easy. Basically, you have to make sure they have constant access to water and food. Chickens basically regulate their own food rations, so you don't have to worry about them getting too fat or them being underfed, as long as they have access to food whenever they desire. Same with water. They have to have constant access to water, and they also have to have certain temperature, especially when they're growing up and when they're very small. So installing a heat lamp is not a bad idea in the first stages of their life. Other than that, if you're planning to keep your chickens outside, obviously it's best to have some sort of a contained area, a fenced area where they freely walk around. In addition to that, you need some covered area where they go for the night and where they can be protected from different weather conditions. The temperature range in which chickens live is the important factor. They can't get too cold, they can't get too hot. I'm actually not sure if there are strict restrictions on the high end of their livable temperature, but they can definitely not get too cold. So you have to make sure whatever your setup is, that there's some sort of heat, constant heat, where they can gather if the temperature outside gets too cold. Other than that, it's important to protect your chickens from other animals. The guy that was talking to us in the store told us that he had a fox problem. There was a fox that was stealing the eggs and killing his chickens. He said he did take care of that problem, and we didn't ask any more questions, hoping that this was some sort of a non-violent solution that he came up with. We love all animals, and foxes are pretty cool themselves, and I would hate to see foxes getting hurt. They're very smart. Some foxes are even domesticated, but we're not talking about foxes today. We're talking about chickens. The B-roll footage, intervening shots that you see here were taken on a different day. They were taken like a day or two after we shot this episode, and I just wanted to include some of them in here. The opening shot and the shots you're looking at right now were done in a different location, a different place. They just match this footage perfectly. One of these chickens that you can see here, the one with crazy hair, is actually a Polish chicken. So that's a funny part too, that the craziest looking one is the Polish chicken. Chickens grow pretty quickly. From little chicks to the point where they start laying eggs, it's about 5 to 6 months. So in 6 months from getting chickens, you're gonna start getting your own eggs. Depending on what breed of chickens, some of them are better egg layers, some are worse, but the ones that are being sold in places like Tractor Supply are usually good egg layers. So they deliver about 5 eggs per week per chicken. So that's a lot of eggs. Imagine that you have 5 chickens, you're gonna have about 25 eggs per week. You would have to eat a lot of eggs if you're going to consume all of that on your own. So you're likely to start selling them or sharing them with friends and family pretty soon. Taking care of chickens is pretty easy. All you have to do is pretty much make sure they have constant access to food and water, and you have to clean their habitat every few days. So whether it's a smaller area that you simply have when they're growing up, or it's a bigger chicken coop, it has to be cleaned every few days. You can't let it get too messy because that's not good for the chickens themselves, and you want to prevent any possibility of a disease or anything bad happening to your chickens. Chickens are inexpensive. That's another advantage. I believe the prices in the store were about $2 per chick, so that's really inexpensive. There was a rule that you had to get at least 6 of them or something like that, but that's still pretty inexpensive. So it's easy to get chickens, it's easy to start your chicken farm or your chicken project. The only thing to remember is it requires commitment. So please mind that if you do start any chicken project, you will be bound to it. And if you leave your house for a trip, or if you're away for more than a day, you will have to make sure there's someone else to take care of them, clean the chicken living area, and make sure they have enough water and food. From what this guy told us, taking care of chickens seems pretty easy. We spoke to some of our friends that have slightly different opinions. So as with everything else, use your common sense, do your own research, use this video if you'd like for the basic information, and then decide whether chickens are something that you really want to do, and know that it does require a certain degree of responsibility. In the last part of this infamous episode 302, I was sitting in our house with the sunset light explaining that we're not getting chickens yet, and I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I think I said we're not getting them because we travel too much, we intend to travel even more, and in our case it would be simply impossible to bring the chickens with us. Traveling with 3 dogs is already crazy enough, and we just cannot have a whole zoo traveling with us wherever we go. We love animals, but we're not crazy enough to have dogs and chickens. Someday in the future, who knows? It would be really awesome to have your own chickens and your own eggs. Definitely not right now, but maybe one day in the future. If you have any thoughts about raising chickens or any questions, please share them with us in the comments right underneath this video. And thank you guys so much for surviving this episode where the audio doesn't match the video. I really hope this doesn't ever happen again. I wish there was a technical, easier way to make sure you're always covering all your ends and have another audio source for all these daily videos, but that's simply impossible. A lot of them happen spontaneously and on the go. Nothing is ever perfect. So again, this is not an excuse. I apologize for the situation. Thank you guys for surviving this crazy episode. And of course, tomorrow we'll come back with a more regular vlog where everything was recorded properly. Good night.
Oh, geez, that one wants to peck my finger. Here, does it? Does it? Let me see. They have a lot of different types of chickens in here.